Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyervip.com. Let's continue the conversation on Saul Alvarez and Floyd Mayweather, the weight issue. I'm surprised so many people have responded to the videos. Some people have made some great points in response to the most recent video. Let me address one of them head on. There's a sentiment out there that Floyd Mayweather fought Victor Ortiz when Victor Ortiz weighed much more than him the night of the fight, but yet let that fight go forward. That Floyd fought Robert Guerrero, who outweighed him again by several pounds on the night of the fight, but yet Floyd let that fight go forward, right? Neither of those contracts had a day of the fight restriction or anything like that. So, the reasoning goes, why is Floyd now so concerned about weight when it comes to Canelo? The idea is that there's something different about Canelo. He's special. Floyd realizes that he's going to bring more to the party than did Guerrero and Victor Ortiz. So Floyd is trying to throw additional safeguards into the contract because of Canelo's talent. Let me just say this, right? One man's opinion, and I'm going to speculate here. This is a speculation video. We're all boxing fans. We're just around a, virtual bar talking about our thoughts. I think the public, first of all, is focusing on the wrong fights, right? Understand that the contract weight for both the Guerrero fight and the Ortiz fight was 147, right? Floyd doesn't want a different deal than he had for those fights. Rather, Floyd wants the same deal, right? He wants Canelo to agree to the same contractual weight that Victor Ortiz and Robert Guerrero did, right? There's no difference. But I believe the fight people need to focus on is the only fight in like the last 5 years that Floyd has had at 154 pounds. That was his fight against Miguel Cotto. And quite frankly, no opponent over the last 5 years has come as close to beating Floyd as Cotto did. I'm not saying Cotto came close, but what I am saying is Cotto certainly did better than Ortiz, than Guerrero, than Ricky Hatton, than Shane Mosley, right? Now that fight took place at 154, and maybe it opened Floyd's eyes up to the risk at 154. Keep in mind the changes Floyd has made. For the Cotto fight, his trainer was Roger Mayweather, as it had been for several fights before that, right? He and Roger go back years. Floyd's changed his corner. Now his father's in his corner, right? Floyd Sr. has replaced his brother, Roger Mayweather, right? So Floyd, after the Cotto fight, understood that he needed to sharpen his defense. And he's open about it. Just go online and Google Floyd's post-fight press conference following his fight against Robert Guerrero, right? Let me also make another point too. I personally believe, and I've said this here online in multiple videos, right? And this is my speculation. Don't take it as a factual statement. That the one fighter Floyd, in my opinion, clearly dodged in his prime was Antonio Margarito, right? I think prime Margarito is underrated by history, right? There was a moment there where Antonio Margarito was dominant, right? And apparently Floyd was offered $8 million to fight him, which was a lot of money at the time, and Floyd refused, right? Didn't go forward with the fight. I think Margarito's style would have given Mayweather a lot of trouble, right? But I also believe that for a very long time, and again, I'm speculating here, right? Let me hear your speculation. I believe that Mayweather has privately looked at Margarito, and he's looked at Manny Pacquiao, and he has felt that those guys were cutting corners, right? Margarito got busted for loading up his gloves. If you look at Margarito's career, it's interesting, because Margarito seemed to become more of a puncher as his career went forward, right? Also, you know what they say about drunk driving. If you're busted driving drunk once, then it's likely that you've been driving drunk on other occasions, but the cops just happened to catch you that time, right? Well, with loaded gloves, there are people who say, wait a moment, are we supposed to believe that Antonio Margarito just happened to choose the Shane Mosley fight to load his gloves? Right? A lot of people are looking back, including Miguel Cotto, and they believe that Antonio Margarito may have loaded his gloves in other fights, right? It's possible that Mayweather views Margarito as a fighter cutting corners. That's how I'm going to put it. Manny Pacquiao, right? Keep in mind, Mayweather agreed to fight Pacquiao, right? The mythology about Mayweather dodging Pacquiao is inaccurate, because if you go through the record, Mayweather agreed to a contract. Mayweather, in fact, agreed to a 50-50 contract, right? Mayweather didn't even, try to get more money than Pacquiao. This is factual. But Mayweather wanted drug testing. And in interviews, Mayweather said that it was a little bit curious how Manny Pacquiao seemed to emerge out of nowhere to become as dominant as he was. And at the time, all of us were amazed at how Manny Pacquiao was rising up in weight. Keep in mind, Pacquiao, like Mayweather, started at a much lighter weight, and how Pacquiao's punching power was really a bit stunning at the higher weights. People might remember Manny Pacquiao destroyed 135-pound champion David Diaz, and we were all surprised because Manny Pacquiao had barely fought at 135 pounds, and yet Diaz, who was known to have a great chin, couldn't withstand Manny Pacquiao's power. Now, the reason why Margarito and Pacquiao are so important is because I believe, and I've said this in an earlier video, that Floyd Mayweather has a certain respect for Miguel Cotto, right? Just like fight fans have favorite fighters, and we say, wow, this guy, you look at the guy and you say, you know what? I respect this guy. This guy shows up and he's always bringing it, right? I believe that Floyd Mayweather looked at Cotto and felt that Cotto was victimized by Margarito. Who knows what the deal was in their first fight with the gloves, right? I believe Mayweather thought that Cotto was the real deal and that he was victimized by Margarito and that he was victimized by Manny Pacquiao, right? Not just on the lack of drug testing. And I'm not saying anyone used drugs, but not just on the lack of drug testing for the fight, but also on the fact that the fight was for Cotto's welterweight title, 147 pounds. Cotto was the champ, but yet Pacquiao forced him to fight at 145, right? In other words, Cotto was forced to defend his title at a weight other than the title weight, right? Floyd actually said so on HBO, right, at 24/7, where he said, yeah, you weren't allowed to fight at your weight. So I believe that Floyd admired Cotto and gave Cotto a certain level of respect that he hasn't given anyone else, including Saul Alvarez. And I believe one of the reasons is because he feels Cotto was victimized by fighters who he's not sure about. Right? Keep in mind, there was even a lawsuit between Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. Right? And also, there's an age dynamic. Right? Cotto's in his 30s. You've heard Floyd talk about earning his stripes. I think Floyd looks at Cotto, who's had the belt at 140, at 147, at 154, who Floyd has told you on, the HBO show where he had the face-off with Cotto. He considers Cotto to be a Hall of Famer. I believe Floyd views Cotto as a peer who has earned his stripes. I think he views Canelo as a young lion, right? Untested. Not that Canelo isn't championship level, but just that Canelo is untested. And let me just say, too, there are many people in boxing, Paulie Malignaggi is one of them, who look at Canelo's first belt at 147 and say, wow, how was he even fighting for the title at 147? Understand, Canelo did it a bit differently than, let's say, a Lamont Peterson or a Lucas Matthys, right? Those guys had to fight the man, right? Lamont Peterson had to fight Amir Khan, right? Ask yourself, who did Canelo have to fight to get that 147 title? Let me also say to the boxing hardcore, I understand if you go deeper into Canelo's record, you're going to see fights against world-class fighters. In fact, champions like Miguel Vasquez. But again, fighting Vasquez when Vasquez is making his pro debut isn't the same. You're not really fighting the same fighter who is currently ruling the roost at lightweight right now, right? So, I believe that Floyd, really for philosophical reasons and also for, the reason of having tasted his own mortality against Miguel Cotto at 154, right? I believe Floyd doesn't want another Miguel Cotto type experience, right? I think Floyd realized in that Cotto fight, and keep in mind, I thought Floyd won that fight comfortably, but I believe Floyd did realize in that Cotto fight that the weight mattered, right? And so, what Floyd wants is what he got in the Ortiz fight and the Guerrero fight. He wants Canelo to come in at 147, and then if Canelo rehydrates after, weighing in and stuff like that, okay, fine. But he wants the 147. If Canelo can't make 147, and let's face it, I'm sure there are a lot of people watching this video right now who know that those last 7 pounds are the hardest to lose. Right? If Canelo can't make the 147, then I think Floyd just wants some kind of assurance that Canelo isn't going to come in weighing super middleweight type weights, right? Because I believe Floyd understands that he's not really a 154 pounder, right? Understand too, Floyd's father, Floyd Sr., in interview after interview, I believe Chris Robinson here online has done a great interview with him, where he says, and Chris Robinson's at hustleboss.com, great website, where Floyd Sr. says Floyd's really a 140 pounder. And let's get real. It's guys at 140 pounds who weigh 150 on fight night, like Floyd typically does, right? And so don't look at Ortiz and don't look at the Guerrero fight, because those were contracted at 147. Look at the Miguel Cotto fight, not just the fight, but the CompuBox numbers. Not just the CompuBox numbers, but also Floyd's face at the end of the fight. Compare and contrast Floyd's face at the end of the Cotto fight with Floyd's face at the end of the Guerrero fight. Big difference. I think that Cotto fight may be influencing the Mayweather-Saul Alvarez negotiations. Let me hear from you. By the way, you can be the best pound for pound and realize that your best weight class is 147 pounds. Let me hear from you. Leave your comments for me here online. As I noticed this whole subject matter is generating a lot of hot emotions, I say great, right? If you think what I'm saying is full of hot air, go ahead and tell me why. Just keep it real. Leave your thoughts. Let's continue to discuss the fight. Thanks for stopping by.